welcome to another Mr. Beats Byte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we have a mystery gift for the channel. And this is from friend of the channel, Aaron. Thank you once again, Aaron. Really quite a surprise when this arrived on the doorstep today. So this is for your channel. The heads are excellent, but the machine now says there is a tape inside when there is not. The mechanism is timed correctly, so it's not that, I think. See what you can do. All the best, Aaron. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. It's an NX100. Wow. Well, Aaron, thank you. I'm really blown away. Again, this is another machine. I saw one or two of these back in the early 90s. And I don't think I actually got to work on one of these specifically. I mean, there's sort of there was a series of models that are very similar, I suppose you could say. Yeah, wow. Again, I never thought I'd really get a chance to work on one of these because they're not that plentiful, and they seem to go for a lot of money, and or be very tired. So this is great. Thank you, Aaron. It's just brilliant. So I suppose we ought to see what it's doing. Okay, so let's power it on. So, got the top off, and one thing that strikes me, these aren't the right screws, these are actually Sony screws, so we'll get the right screws because these are very useful. It's amazing how many of those go missing. So, yeah, I think they're just standard black screws that you can just get anywhere within reason. But when I plugged it in, it was dead. So, and then I noticed this, and taking the top off, I've noticed this. And if I look in here, let's just pull this apart a bit. Well, you can see the mains cable hanging out. And to be fair, to test it, that's fair enough. It's not terrible, but obviously in transit this has got tugged, or when I unpacked it, got tugged and it's broken it. So I'm going to repair that first, and yeah, then we can power it on and see what it's doing. Okay, so all done. We cabled it. Not a black cable tie, but that's all I have. It'll be fine. I do actually have some Hayco cable clamps coming, so hopefully while making this video I'll be able to show you putting a new core grip on this. So we're all done. I should change the plug. I put the black one on because it's just my favourite plugs. Okay, so let's plug this in, and there we go. Looking rather good. It actually looks brighter on the camera than it actually does in real life, which is fine. Okay, so reckons there's a cassette in there, and we have the blank blank Grease is the word cassette. Let's put a tape in there. Just making sure, yeah, that's fully down. So yeah, I try and power it off, and it comes back on because it's obviously confused. So this could be interesting. Time to investigate. Before I check the power supply, I thought it might be an idea just to check underneath and to see what's going on. It has had a bit of a bump. That isn't in transit to me. I mean, it's so well boxed. It was just unbelievable. But I just want to check what's going on. Sanyos, they do seem to really suffer with surface rust. It's really becoming a big issue with these machines. And I'm debating what to do with them, to be honest. I do actually have a 5150, which is a machine I've had, gosh, easily 30 years. And I will do a video on it as well, because it would be really nice to resurrect it. It's buried at the moment. I just don't really use it because I have the Sonys, but I'd love to sort of get that out and to see how it's done. I actually serviced it before putting it away. So we'll see how that went. But ooh, interesting sort of overspray there from something. That's interesting. But the metal is so, I mean, that's, I've just pushed that dent out. It's so soft. But first impressions are that it actually looks really good. We've got a bit of an issue here with the mount. So I'll straighten that out. It's interesting that they put a bit of a sticker where the motor is there because it is so soft. There's every chance that could actually short out the motor. It's quite fun. Not the greatest quality, but you know, they're great machines really. Let's see if we can straighten this. Very, very dodgy way to do it. Yeah, the clip's come out. That's actually good. Yeah, so there's the bracket. That is now pretty much straight, to be fair. I've actually done a really good job. Oh, that's it. It's clipped in, and that's fine. Might still put a screw in there. Yeah, this clips at the top here. So yeah, that's straight and good. Yeah, you learn something new every day, don't you? Okay, so I've taken the power supply board out. It's only 4 screws, easy enough, and this is actually grounded, but the front loading system actually isn't grounded. But so it's fine to rest there. It's floating about a bit, but it's not going to really hit anything that is going to cause any real issue, which is great. So should be able to test this fairly well. Now I don't have a manual for this particular machine, but it's very similar to a lot of other machines. I'm actually using the M10 or M10 20, 30, whatever series, I forget, Sanyo manual, because it does have the same STK chip. So at least I can measure the voltages and just see what's going on. So let's power it on. Hopefully it won't go bang. There we go, lovely. And what I am looking for first of all is regulated 12 volts. Now that is on pin 5 of, I have no 12 volts. Oh, that would do it. Regulated 9 volts. So pin 2 is there. And I have nothing. That regulator's dead. Just as well I ordered one. I just thought I'd just order one because I'm going to use it. If I don't use it in this one, I'll use it in another. What else do we have? Always 10 volts. So the always 10 volts actually comes straight from the transformer. But of course, that'll be different on this machine to the M10. That's fine. What other voltages do we have? Pin 13. We have a 30 volt rail. So pin 13, 15, 14, 13. Nothing. You know, when I started this journey and I wanted to work on as many Sony Betamax machines as possible and archive them on this YouTube channel, sometimes I wish I'd just gone for Sanyos, because I can really see that I would very quickly get up to speed and really very quickly get very good at doing Sanyo machines. And instead I'm fairly good on Sony machines. It's funny how it goes, isn't it? But yeah, I can sort of really see a theme with the Sanyo machines. They're all very similar to work on. They're just very much, you know, a variation on the early machines, like the 5000, VTC 5000. I think the early ones before that were a little bit more varied, but still not that different. But anything from the 5000 forward, they're fairly straightforward. And yeah, okay, the signal processing side of things is different, you know, obviously with hi-fi and all the rest of it, and super beta and in other markets. But the fundamental, most unreliable parts of a Sanyo are pretty much all the same across the range. There's very little variation, and that's really cool. That's actually really nice. Repairability, and that's something that modern manufacturers could really do with learning from. It's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. Okay, so we're one step closer to getting this going, insofar as I've got the Hayco mains cable strain relief grommet things. Now these are actually 4.1 by 8.6 millimeter flat cable, and the Hayco number is 3001114. So used on a lot of equipment of the time, so it's sort of worth knowing that if you do indeed get a piece of kit where the cable's being cut off and you want to do it properly. I'm using the proper Hayco tool as well, which I bought off eBay a while back for not an awful lot actually. It's about 15 quid, I think. I mean, obviously it's very second hand, but who cares if it works. So wrap that round. And I've never done this before, so you can see my terrible errors first hand. And I want to get it fairly close. I mean, I need to leave obviously some cable as a loop inside. I wonder if I need to press this down a bit first. I mean, the slight thing about it as well, this cable is not, because it's modern cable, it's not quite as flexible. I keep pressing. Right, there we go. So literally, it goes, I don't quite see that, it sort of goes right up to the collar there. That's still not quite right. Now it is. So here it goes. Oops. I have to say, I do wonder how it was done in the factory. It must have had some automated way of doing this. Can't imagine people manually doing this. Especially
There we go. Given the way I've just done that, but that's, well, it's in. That's it. It's in. And not too bad on the cable length there, so I think I did fairly well there for first attempt. Oh gosh. Oh, I've got to love these amateur type jobs, haven't you? Yeah, that's fine. The perfectionist side of me would have liked that a bit more in the middle. In fact, I should be able to push that over, maybe. No. Well, it's working. I mean, that's good. Great. Okay. Next thing's the SDK. So it's about nearly 2 weeks, I think, since I ordered this. And it's taken a long time, especially as they're UK based. But it has arrived from Little Diode. And it's just a bit like, I don't know, I just felt a little bit like, what's going on? Is it coming from China, or, you know, I mean, it says genuine Sanyo, and it certainly looks like genuine Sanyo, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it does look like the real deal, but anyway, who knows? If it works, great. So let's get this changed. It's not the best view, I know, but hey, it's Mr. Betamax after all. So I'm going to try and get a bit more access by removing this cable management bit. If I unplug the front loading system motor as well, that will help just get this up just a bit more. That's probably manageable, isn't it? So yeah, not too bad. I do wonder if there'll be any heatsink compound. No, there won't be. There's an insulator. So that's cool. Happy with that. And this is where the fun can be. There we go. I'm just flexing the metal slightly with the heatsink itself. Just to try and, there we go. I don't want to rip it. That's the thing. I mean, it seems fairly flexible still in its nearly 40-year-old state. So yeah, I've got the iron fired up, and I am going to use Servo desoldering mop, and yeah, get this out. I don't know whether I need extra solder. I have checked the caps are discharged, and they are. Famous last words. We'll soon find out if they're not, if I've missed any. So, there's the old one. There's the new one. 72. That suggests it's maybe older. 7216, 7217. Who knows? I don't know how the serial numbers work, but the front, they certainly look very similar. If that's a Chinese copy, then it's a very good one. So, but yeah, it's a very good one. It could be. Okay, so I've had a look at the listing, and it is listed as brand new. Now, it could well be that the pins are tinned. It's not totally inconceivable that that's the case. I mean, if anybody from Little Diode does watch these videos, because I do mention Little Diode quite a lot, and I have bought quite a lot from them. And I will say I've always found them really, really good. I've never had a... Have I ever had a problem? No, I don't think I've ever had a problem with anything I've ever had from them. So that says something. But if anybody from Little Diode is watching, it'd be great to have your comments. All sort of back in, pretty tidy job, to be fair. Okay, so here goes. It might go terribly wrong. So it's on. Still saying there's a cassette in there. Okay, so I've taken the board back out again. I should never put screws in until I'm completely convinced it's working. So let's power this on. And first thing I'm going to check, actually turn it on. Have I got voltage on pin 15? And I still don't. Now it's a bit weird because pin 13. I've got 30 volts there. Okay, that's good. That's a good start. Oh, I've got voltage. 8 volts. That's good. Pin 9, I don't think it's used. Pin 12. Pin 12 is the 12 volts. So 15, 14, 13, 12. So I can get that here. Yeah, near as damn it. What's that choke? 12 volts. That's working. Super. I'm sort of just confirming what I thought, to be honest, at this stage, because pin 10, pin 9. Now, I don't think this is used on this, but I have got, well, it's about 6 volts. And possibly 8.7, but yeah, it's not used on this. It's literally just taking the 12 volts, 30 volt, and the 8 volt rail from the SDK. So that's working. Okay, so I was having a Sony moment. There's no board underneath. Honestly, all the logic's here, motor controls here, power supplies here, video signal processing's here, tuner and tuning is down there. So I've just gone around this board because, like I say, I'm not convinced that there's anything else wrong with this as such. And I noticed this connector was ever so slightly not seated. And we're now good. So, let's try a tape. No! Yeah, so it's still not detecting that there is a cassette in there. It's just weird because pushing that connector in seemed to just... I don't think we've got anything else really to worry about. The other thing I'm slightly concerned about is I checked voltages across these fusible resistors, and they're all at about 1.5 volts, and to me that seems slightly odd. Maybe we have a logic issue. Slightly clutching at straws. It would help to have a manual. I don't know whether one of the other Sanyo manuals might give me enough info to diagnose this, but I need to have a look. So we've got no other connectors. That's hardwired. That is a connector, but it is on. That is now on. So it's going to be something with this panel. I mean, the heads are rotating, like you'd expect. Just wind that back in. Oh, I've just been able to press play. Now thinks there is a cassette inside. So it starts the heads, doesn't do anything else. Yeah, so I obviously have something going on that's a bit weird with this. At least we do have this back now. Starting to get warm, that's good. Yes, okay. I'm going to try and find some more information. I shall be right back. Okay, so I was looking at this after I'd done the last bit of recording, and that's sort of a bit perplexed because it should really work. And down here, I noticed there was a whole load of grease. It was literally green with grease. I don't know what grease, where it came from or what had happened. So I gave it a clean. I did it off camera. Yeah, it seems to have cleaned up, but it's still not making contact. Unfortunately, I haven't got enough hands to do this very well. But basically, these two pins here are the contact for the leaf switch down there, and you can see it doesn't even look straight. I don't know quite what's going on, but I have to, with a cassette in, I actually have to actuate this to make it short. So I'm going to take this out and just check it and clean up those contacts properly, and we'll see if that makes a difference. So front off. Obviously unplugged it as well. And then let's just wind this back out. Checking whether grease is the word tape. And then to remove the front loading system, two obvious screws, and then I think I have to wind this in a bit because it's not the screws you think. I think it's these. I'm not too worried about the screws dropping through, to be honest, because it's all coming out. And I'm almost tempted to have a look at that idler as well. I might as well. And clean that pinch roller, because the pinch roller is looking very sad. Somewhere I do actually have a brand new one, a new old stock one. Disconnect the connector. Will that lift off? Do I have to... Maybe I have taken out the wrong screws. Does feel like it. Let's take them all out. Yeah, they all had to come out. Oh. There's no belt. Okay. So that's interesting. Somewhere I have a belt kit. That idler is completely smooth, so that'll have to come off. Do the one underneath as well. That's cool. It's the one with the brackets, or the edge. The bracket, the edge. So okay, cool. Let's have a look at this pinch roller. Oh dear, that is a bit sorry. We'll see. I think I do have one. So yeah, I think we're going to have to change that because it's looking pretty dismal. I mean, it could be resurfaced. I might resurface it to see what happens. It'd be fun. It'd be fun. Let's do that. Let's resurface it. Okay, so I have to clean all this up as well. Look at that. It's really smoked. Yeah, so time to have a dig through the stash, I think, and see what I've got. That angle is right, but you see there's a bit of plastic here. There should be another bit of plastic on that sort of goes up and down, sort of like a triangular bit on the end of that. So when you push a cassette in, it pushes and makes contact, and you can see it's just not making the contact. And that, I think, is the problem I'm facing now. So, how I get around that, I don't know, just at the second, but probably what I'm going to do is try and fashion something to go on the top of there. I don't have any of these leaf switches at all. I don't know. We'll see. So I've had a dig around, and I've found a partial belt kit. It hasn't actually got the belt in it that I need. I've used that obviously at some point, or it fell out. But this one is a full belt kit, and it does actually have the little belt in there by the looks, so that's cool. So I'm sure that'll be correct. N10, same deck, pretty much. And I've also got this complete idler assembly. Now you could argue, I mean, okay, I've got a missing spring there, but yeah, you could argue I could just change the tyres, just take this apart, but I'm just thinking, as I've got this, I might as well install that. Something I've never done before either, and I'm probably going to do it without the manual, just for the fun of it. So the two idler thing, by the way, basically the top idler is for anything that involves the pinch roller being in contact with the capstan. As it's clutched, so you can see it's on a clutch. The bottom idler, that's direct drive, so that there's no clutch. So it just, yeah, it's just two different ways of driving the reel. So like fast forward rewind, it uses the bottom one on the clutch, without a clutch, and then for everything else like play, picture scan forward and back, that's actually on a clutch. So yeah, that's why you've got two idlers. But the next thing I'm going to do, before we do all of this, before we look at the deck, is actually get the machine working. I mean, I always will try and get a machine working, and I will do work on a machine, even if I haven't fixed the original fault, because I know I'll fix the original faults. But I really want to see this working, so just actually take a tape in, and obviously I'm not going to put a proper tape in because there's no belt there. Glad I found that out before I actually did let it lace a tape. So yeah, let's get on with this switch on the front loading system. So my thought with this, because that bit of plastic has broken off, is to potentially solder on a bit of wire that gives it a bit of a sort of, I don't know what you call it, sort of raised section there to allow it to actually actuate properly against the bottom contact there. I'm almost certain I haven't got any of these spare, so that's probably what I'm going to have to do, try and fashion something, but I think that's probably the best way forward. As long as I don't melt any of the plastic, and I'll take precautions against doing that. So yeah, let's give it a go. Okay, it's probably not the easiest thing to see, but basically what I've done is I've clamped the leaf switch in the helping hands with the screwdriver in between the two leaves to try and keep its shape, but also to act as a heat sink, so I'm not putting too much heat through to the plastic. That's the theory anyway. Because this is probably going to be a little bit tricky. I can smell a little bit of melting plastic, maybe, or it could just be just cooking off grease. But it doesn't look too bad. But I'm going to have to get some more solder on there. It's amazing it didn't fall off. Actually, why don't I just... Good. Can I do this without removing it? I think I need to remove it really, just so there you can see the screwdriver in between. And then when it's on, and that looks pretty good. It might be a bit big. Oh, it's not great, is it? Certainly very solid. We'll see what it looks like. And yeah, I might have to just have a second attempt, but I think that'll work. I've just had another go, and I think that looks a lot better. It looks a little bit untidy at the end there, but that's just why I chopped it off. But it's certainly very solid, so let's see if it's going to work. So that's actually looking pretty good. It's good and secure. I had to sort of realign it a little bit since first doing it, but if we just see, that switch is now making beautifully. So yeah, let's put it back in and see what happens. Okay, so powered it on. So that one isn't, let's turn it on. So far so good. Still nothing. Yeah, and that's made. So we have got some sort of strange thing going on this board, which is interesting. So I suppose I do now have a manual. So I suppose the next thing is to diagnose that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to, I know what the outcome is going to be, but I'm going to load a cassette, the blank cassette, because obviously we've got no belt, and just see what happens with it loaded. Let's run that on. With it loaded, now that switch is done and working, because the deck will know there is a cassette in there now, and that the front loading system's done its job as well, because that switch is now pressed. And to see if we get any sort of tape functions at all. My feeling is that we won't get any, and it's probably a regulated 12-volt power supply issue. But I just want to know if it's like one section of the sort of motor control servo section, or it's all of it. So, I mean, obviously we've got head rotation, because when we turn it on, we get that little bit of head rotation. So it's obviously doing something. Says there's a cassette in. So now rewind, fast forward. So, after quite a bit of work on trying to work out what's going on, the thing that sort of bothered me about this was I had like a floating voltage of about 1.67 volts, sort of all through the 12-volt regulated rail areas. And that sort of made me think that somewhere I've got some sort of blown fuse, or fusible resistor, or I wasn't looking at loaded down rails because I did have a regulated 12-volt supply, but I gave up on the manual. It's just it's fine, but it doesn't really give too much information on power. And I just followed through the 12-volt rail line, which comes from 345, goes through here, around here, blah, 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 and eventually comes around here, and you've got fuse, and that fuse is a semiconductor fuse, so fast blow. It's not like your standard wire fuse that will take quite a bit over its rating before it'll pop, or take some time to pop. So, and this is it, and it is open circuit. It's an F25, so that's a 1 amp fuse, and I thought I had some N25s, so that's in a different, I think it's TO92 case, I might be wrong. So the semiconductor fuses arrived. I bought N25 because they're the common ones that I use, but they're essentially the same thing, just in a different style case. So that is in. So let's give it a try. Okay, so here goes, using the blank grease as the word tape. And that's working. I have no rewind, I don't know quite why that is. Oh, there we go, the button was bad. Yeah, the button is bad. Okay, that's fine, so we know that. Yeah. Oh, didn't like that. Now, oh no. Yeah, so it's not like in life at the moment, but we haven't got that. Yeah, so it's picking up. There's no real rotation when it's putting the cassette in, which is why it's pausing, which is actually quite cool. So you hear the real motor just going, but because there's no belt on it, so the real motor is just running wild, no load on it. But because there's no load on it, the belt's gone. It stops, and if I take it out of standby, in standby, as standby, it will wind in 2 extra goes. So we have an electronically, as far as we know, working machine now. Power supply is working. We've got the servo, or the motor's working anyway. I mean, obviously we don't know about servo yet, but I'm going to cut this one off here now, and in part 2 we'll put the belts on, we'll change that whole idler unit, and got some pinch rollers. That's the original one. Pinch rollers to try. I think I've already selected the one I want to actually use. We've got belts as well, so yeah, that's really good. We've really made progress. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this one. I've actually really enjoyed working on this machine so far. So with that, thank you very much for watching. And please like and subscribe as well. It means a heck of a lot to me. It really, really does. And comment as well. You know, I'm interested to hear what you feel about these machines. I mean, okay, they're a very basic machine. But what do you think compared to like the F30, the Sony F30, or the Toshiba V9600 or V33, 3133, which probably would have been a bit more about the time of this. So yeah, let me know in the comments which you prefer and why. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and see you in another video. Bye for now.